The alarm bells rang across Outpost Thanagar like the screams of dying metal. Commander Zektar jumped from his chair in the control room, his purple skin turning pale as he stared at the main screen. For 30 years, he had watched this border of space. Nothing ever surprised him anymore. Pirates, smugglers, lost cargo ships, he had seen them all. But this was different. Report? He shouted at his crew. Lieutenant Mirasan, a young officer with nervous hands, looked up from her station. Sir, we have a contact. Unknown vessel just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of our scanning range. Pirates again? Zektar asked, already reaching for his weapons authorization codes. No, sir. Mirasan's voice shook. This is not like anything in our database. The ship is. It's completely unknown. Zektar walked over to her station and looked at the readings. His blood went cold. The energy signature on the screen was unlike anything he had ever seen. The ship appeared as a bright dot on their sensors, but the numbers next to it made no sense. Check the sensors, he ordered. Run a full diagnostic. Already done, sir, 3 times. The readings are correct. The unknown ship sat in space like a predator watching its prey. It was not moving. It was not scanning them. It was just waiting. What does it look like? Zektar asked. The main screen changed to show a visual image of the strange vessel. It was unlike any ship design in the Zephyrian Empire's vast databases. The hull was dark gray, almost black, with sharp angles that seemed to cut through space. Itself, it was smaller than their biggest warships, but somehow looked more dangerous than anything they had ever built. Sir, called out Ensign Kolvek from the communications station. I'm trying to hail them. No response. Keep trying, Zektar ordered, but his mind was racing. In 30 years of service, he had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, every instinct was screaming that this ship was trouble. Big trouble. Sir, look at this. Mirazana's voice was barely a whisper. She pointed at her screen. The ship is scanning us. What do you mean, scanning us? Active sensor sweeps. Very powerful ones. They're mapping our entire defense grid. They know the position of every satellite, every weapon platform, every ship in the system. Zektar felt sweat on his forehead. Despite the cool air in the control room. How is that possible? Our sensors should detect any scanning attempt. Sir, their technology is beyond anything we've seen. The scans are so advanced that our systems barely register them. If I wasn't looking directly at the sensor logs, I would never have noticed. The commander stared at the mysterious ship on the screen. It just floated there, silent and still, but somehow he could feel it watching them, studying them. Learning everything about their defenses? Get me Admiral Vextar. Emergency priority. Within minutes, the holographic image of Admiral Vextar appeared in the command center. The admiral was an old warrior with scars across his face and a reputation for never backing down from a fight. When he saw the readings from Zektar's station, his expression changed. What am I looking at, Commander? The admiral asked. Unknown contact, sir. Appeared 20 minutes ago. No response to our hails. They're scanning our entire defensive network. Admiral Vextar studied the data for several long minutes. His face grew more serious with each passing second. Commander, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Do not make any aggressive moves toward that vessel. Do not power up weapons. Do not even think about shooting at it. Sir? Those energy readings. I've seen reports about ships like this before, scattered intelligence from the outer rim. Ships that appear from nowhere and disappear just as quickly. Ships that make our best technology look like children's toys. Zektar felt his stomach drop. What are your orders, sir? Maintain current positions. Keep trying to communicate. I'm sending everything we have to your location. The hologram flickered and died. Zektar turned back to his crew, all of whom had heard the conversation. Fear was written on every face. You heard the Admiral, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Maintain current positions. No weapons, no aggressive actions. Hours passed. The unknown ship remained exactly where it had first appeared, as if it was painted on the stars themselves. More and more vessels began arriving at Outpost Thanagar. First came the patrol ships from nearby systems. Then the cruisers. Then the heavy battleships. Admiral Vextar arrived on his flagship, the Iron Fist, a massive dreadnought that had destroyed entire fleets. Behind him came 50 more warships, representing the strongest military force in this sector of the Empire. Surely, Zektar thought, this show of strength would make the unknown vessel respond. It did not. Still no communication? Admiral Vextar asked as he took command of the situation. Nothing, sir. They acknowledge our signals, we know they're receiving them, but they don't respond. And they're still scanning? Constantly. They now have complete maps of every defensive position within 10 light years of here. They know the location of every ship, every weapon, every supply depot. It's like they can see through our hulls. Admiral Vextar looked at the tactical display showing the unknown ship surrounded by dozens of Imperial vessels. By all military logic, they should surrender immediately. One ship against 50 was not a battle, it was suicide, but the ship showed no signs of fear or concern. It simply waited. Admiral, called the communications officer. Priority message from the capital. Emperor Malfin himself is coming. A cold silence fell over the bridge. When the Emperor came personally, it meant the situation was far more serious than anyone had imagined. How long until he arrives? Vextar asked. 6 hours, sir. He's bringing the Eternal Fleet. Zektar had never seen the Eternal Fleet, but every child in the Empire knew the stories. 200 of the most powerful warships ever built led by the Emperor's personal dreadnought Eternal Dominion. It was a force that could destroy entire star systems. As they waited for the Emperor's arrival, more intelligence reports came in. The unknown ship's technology was beyond anything they had ever encountered. Its hull was made of materials that did not exist in any Imperial database. Its energy systems operated on principles that their best scientists could not understand. Most disturbing of all were the reports from the Outer Rim territories. Ships matching this description had been spotted near several Imperial colonies. They never attacked, they never communicated. They just appeared, observed, and vanished. "Sir," Mirasan called out, "I'm picking up something strange." "What now?" "The unknown ship is receiving transmissions from somewhere very far away. The signals are so weak I can barely detect them, but they're definitely artificial." "Can you decode them?" "No, sir. The encryption is unlike anything we've ever seen, but sir, I think there are more ships out there, a lot more ships." "Admiral." Vextar stared at the tactical display. The single unknown vessel no longer looked like a lost explorer or a rogue pirate ship. It looked like what it probably was, a scout. "The first of many. How many more?" he asked quietly. "I don't know, sir. The signals are coming from multiple directions. Dozens of directions, maybe hundreds." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but no one wanted to say it out loud. The Empire had always been the strongest force in known space. They had conquered 1,000 worlds and defeated every enemy they had ever faced. But now, for the first time in centuries, they had encountered something that might be stronger than they were. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "the Emperor's fleet has arrived." On the main screen, ships began appearing as they dropped out of hyperspace. One by one, the most powerful vessels in the Empire took positions around the unknown intruder. The Eternal Dominion itself was a sight that inspired awe and terror in equal measure. It was 3 times larger than any other ship, covered in weapons that could turn planets into dust. Emperor Malfin's voice echoed across every ship in the fleet when he opened a communication channel. "This is Emperor Malfin of the Zephyrian Empire. To the unknown vessel, you will identify yourself immediately and explain your presence in Imperial space. You have 1 hour to comply." The unknown ship's response was immediate and unexpected. For the first time since its arrival, it moved. Not to flee or attack, but simply to turn slightly, as if getting a better look at the massive fleet surrounding it. Then came a voice over the communication channel. It spoke in perfect Zephyrian, with an accent that no one could identify. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earth ship Retribution. We greet the Zephyrian Empire. The voice was calm, polite, and somehow completely terrifying. It belonged to a species that barely existed in imperial records as a primitive race from the galaxy's edge. But there was nothing primitive about the ship that had just introduced itself. And there was something in the captain's voice that suggested the Empire was about to learn just how wrong their assumptions had been. Emperor Malthus stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion and stared at the small ship that had just identified itself as human. His golden robes rustled as he moved closer to the main viewing screen. For 500 years, the Zephyrian Empire had ruled this part of the galaxy. No one challenged them? No one dared? Humans? He said, his voice filled with disbelief. Did that creature just say humans? General Thakmer, the Emperor's chief military advisor, stepped forward. He was a massive warrior with battle scars covering his arms and face. My lord, our records show humans as a primitive species from the Outer Rim. They barely achieved spaceflight 50 years ago. Their technology is thousands of years behind. Ours. Then explain that ship, the Emperor said, pointing at the dark vessel on the screen. Thakmer had no answer. None of them did. Bring me everything we know about these humans, the Emperor ordered. Every report, every intelligence file, every rumor from the border worlds. Within minutes, a team of analysts rushed onto the bridge carrying data tablets and projection devices. They set up a holographic display showing what little information the Empire had gathered about humanity. Sir, said Chief Analyst Morduk, a thin creature with large eyes that helped him read data quickly, our information is very limited. Humans are from a planet called Earth in the Sol system. They are carbon-based life forms, similar to many species we have encountered. They have been expanding slowly into nearby star systems for the past 50 years. How many ships do they have? General Thakmer asked. According to our last reports, maybe a few hundred small vessels. Nothing larger than a light cruiser. Their weapons are basic plasma cannons and chemical missiles. Their ships are slow and poorly armored. Emperor Malthus looked from the data display to the unknown ship floating in space. That does not match what we are seeing. No, sir, it does not, Morduk admitted. Either our intelligence is completely wrong, or this ship represents a massive technological leap for the human species. Or, said Dr. Veltara, the Empire's head of xenobiology, this is not actually a human ship at all. Perhaps another species is using human identification to confuse us. The Emperor considered this possibility. It made more sense than believing that a primitive species had somehow built a vessel that made his sensors scream warnings he had never heard before. Hail the ship again, he ordered. I want to speak to this Captain Chun directly. The communications officer worked at his station for several minutes before shaking his head. Sir, they are not responding to our hails. They responded before. Yes, sir, but now they seem to be ignoring us. On the tactical display, the human ship continued to sit motionless in space. It had not moved since delivering its greeting. It showed no signs of fear despite being surrounded by the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Admiral Vextar, the Emperor called out over the fleet communication system. What are your sensors telling you about that vessel? Vextar's voice came back immediately. My lord, the readings are impossible. The ship's energy output is beyond our measurement capabilities. Its hull is made of materials we cannot identify. And sir, that it is still scanning us. Still scanning? Yes, my lord. Active sensor sweeps that penetrate deeper into our ships than should be possible. They know the layout of every vessel in this fleet. They know our weapons, our defenses, our crew numbers. They probably know what we had for breakfast. The Emperor felt a chill run down his spine. In 5 centuries of rule, he had never encountered a situation where the enemy knew more about his forces than he did. Sir, called out the sensor operator on the Eternal Dominion, I am detecting something else. What? More ships. Far away. But closing on our position. General Thakmer rushed to the sensor station. How many? I cannot tell, sir. They are still too far away for accurate counts. But the energy signatures match the vessel we are already tracking. More human ships? It appears so, sir. The Emperor looked at the tactical display showing his massive fleet surrounding one small human vessel. Soon that one ship might become 2 or 3 or more. He needed to take control of this situation before it spiraled beyond his ability to manage. "Open a channel to the human ship," he ordered. "Full broadcast power. I want them to hear me clearly." The communications officer nodded. "Channel open, my lord." Emperor Malthon stepped forward, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had never been denied anything he wanted. "Human vessel, this is Emperor Malthon, ruler of the Zephyrian Empire. You are trespassing in Imperial space without permission. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded, or you will be destroyed." The response came back within seconds, and it was not what anyone expected. "Emperor Malthon, this is Captain Sarah Chun. We have no intention of surrendering. We are here under the authority of the United Earth Defense Force to conduct a formal diplomatic contact with your government." "Diplomatic contact?" General Thakmer whispered. "They want to talk?" Dr. Veltara stepped forward. "Sir, this is highly unusual. Most species make diplomatic contact through established channels. They send messages, arrange meetings, follow protocols. They do not simply appear in our space with advanced warships. Unless," said Analyst Mordaunt quietly, "they want to make sure we take them seriously." The Emperor considered this. Throughout his reign, smaller species had tried to establish contact with the Empire. Most were ignored. Those that persisted were usually conquered and absorbed into Imperial territory. Perhaps these humans had studied Imperial history and decided that only a show of strength would get his attention. If so, they had succeeded. "Captain Chun," the Emperor said into the communication system, "if you wish diplomatic contact, you will follow established protocols. You will surrender your vessel for inspection and submit to Imperial authority. These are our terms." The reply came back even faster this time. "Emperor Malthon, I believe there has been a misunderstanding. We are not requesting permission to enter your space. We are informing you that we have entered your space. We are not seeking to join your empire. We are here to establish formal relations between equals." A shocked silence fell over the bridge of the Eternal Dominion. No one had ever spoken to the Emperor like that. No one had ever suggested that any species was equal to the Zephyrian Empire. General Thakmer's face turned dark with anger. "My lord, this is an insult that cannot be allowed to stand. We should destroy that ship immediately and show these humans the price of disrespecting Imperial authority." "Sir," Admiral Vextar's voice came over the communication system, "I strongly advise against any aggressive action until we understand what we are dealing with." "Admiral," the Emperor said, "you have always been a cautious man, but caution has its limits. We cannot allow a single ship to defy the entire Imperial fleet." "My lord, with respect, that single ship has technology. We do not understand. Look at your tactical displays. Really look at them." The Emperor studied the screens around him. The human ship was small compared to his dreadnoughts, but every sensor reading suggested it was more dangerous than anything in his fleet. Its energy output was massive. Its hull showed no weak points. Most disturbing of all, it continued to scan his ships as if preparing for battle. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" the Emperor asked. "Give them time to explain themselves. If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so already. The fact that they are talking suggests they prefer diplomacy to warfare." Dr. Veltara nodded in agreement. "Sir, if this ship represents standard human technology, then we are dealing with a species far more advanced than our intelligence suggested. It would be wise to learn more before taking action." But General Thakmer disagreed. "My lord, if we show weakness now, every species in the galaxy will think they can challenge Imperial authority. We must destroy this ship as an example, too." Others, the Emperor looked around his bridge at the faces of his advisors. Some wanted caution, others wanted immediate action. All of them were afraid, though they tried to hide it. "Captain Chun," he said into the communication system, "you claim to represent an advanced civilization. Prove it. Show us your authority." To speak for humanity, the response was immediate. Very well, Emperor. Stand by for a demonstration of human diplomatic credentials. The human ship suddenly came alive with activity. Lights that had been dim began to glow brighter. Sections of the hull that had appeared solid began to move and shift. Weapon ports opened along the vessel's sides, revealing technology that made no sense to Imperial sensors. "Sir?" called out the sensor operator. "The human ship is powering up weapon systems. Are they targeting us?" General Fakemore demanded. "No, sir. They appear to be demonstrating the weapon systems are active but not aimed at any of our vessels." On the main screen, the human ship transformed before their eyes. What had looked like a simple warship became something else entirely. Energy fields surrounded the hull. Weapon arrays extended from hidden compartments. The vessel suddenly looked 3 times larger and infinitely more dangerous. But the most shocking part was yet to come. "Emperor Malthan," Captain Chin's voice came over the communication system. "You asked for proof of our authority. What you are seeing is one of our standard diplomatic escort vessels. It is designed to ensure that our diplomatic missions are taken seriously." "Diplomatic escort?" Dr. Veltara whispered. "If this is what they bring to peaceful meetings, what do their actual warships look like?" "Captain Chun," the Emperor said, trying to keep his voice steady, "what exactly do you want from the Zephyrian Empire?" "We want to discuss the future, Emperor. Humanity has been watching your expansion for several decades. We have observed your methods of conquest and your treatment of subject species. We believe it is time for a conversation about how civilized species should interact with each other." The bridge fell silent. The implications of those words were staggering. Humanity had been watching them for decades, without the Empire knowing about it. "Sir," Analyst Morduck said quietly, "if they have been observing us for decades, they know everything about our military capabilities, our trade routes, our weaknesses. And they chose now to make contact," General Fakemore added grimly. "That suggests they believe they are ready for whatever response we might make." Emperor Malthan stared at the transformed human ship on his screen. For the first time in his long reign, he was faced with a situation he did not understand and could not control through force. "Captain Chun," he said finally, "what makes you think the Zephyrian Empire is interested in your conversation?" Her response chilled him to the bone. "Emperor, I think you misunderstand the situation. This is not a request for a meeting. This is a notification that the meeting is about to begin. Whether you participate willingly or not is entirely up to you." The silence on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion lasted for exactly 30 seconds. Then General Fakemore exploded with rage. "How dare they?" he roared, his massive fists slamming down on the tactical display. "No one threatens the Zephyrian Empire. No one." Emperor Malthan raised his hand for silence, but his mind was racing. In 500 years of imperial rule, no one had ever spoken to him the way this human captain just had. The audacity was breathtaking. It was also terrifying. "Sir," Dr. Veltara said quietly, "I believe we need to consider the possibility that Captain Chun is not making an empty threat." "What do you mean?" the Emperor asked. "Look at our tactical readings. That single ship has technology we cannot understand. If they have been watching us for decades as they claim, they know everything about our military capabilities. They would not make such a bold statement unless they were confident they could back it up." General Fakemore turned on her with fury in his eyes. "Are you suggesting we bow down to these primitives? The Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. We have the largest fleet in known space." "General," Admiral Vextar's voice came over the communication system from his flagship, "I have been studying the sensor readings from their vessel. Dr. Veltara is right. This is not primitive technology." "Explain," the Emperor ordered. "My lord, their ship's energy output alone exceeds that of our entire fleet combined. Their hull composition is unlike anything in our databases. The materials appear to be artificially created at the molecular level. Most disturbing of all, their scanning technology can see through our shields as if they do not exist." "That is impossible," General Fakemore declared. Sir, 6 hours ago I would have agreed with you, but the evidence is right here on our sensors. Chief. Analyst Morduk stepped forward with a data tablet in his hands. My lord, I have been analyzing the communications from the human ship. The language processing alone suggests technology far beyond what we believed humans possessed. What do? You mean? Sir, Captain Chun is speaking perfect Zephyrian. Not just the words, but the grammar, the cultural context, even the formal protocols. She knows exactly how to address an emperor according to our traditions. That level of language mastery typically takes decades of study. Emperor Malthan felt a cold realization creeping over him, unless they have been studying us much longer than we thought. Exactly, sir. If they have been observing us for decades, they have had time to learn everything about our culture, our language, our military tactics, our political structure. They know us better than we know ourselves? The Emperor walked to the main viewing screen and stared at the human ship. It sat in space like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. Despite being surrounded by 200 of the Empire's finest warships, it showed no sign of concern or fear. Open a channel to their ship, he ordered. Channel open, my lord. Captain Chun, this is Emperor Malthan. You speak of conversations and meetings, but your words sound more like threats. If you truly seek diplomatic relations, why do you not follow established protocols? The response came immediately, and the tone was perfectly polite, which somehow made it more unsettling. Emperor Malthan, we have followed your established protocols for decades. We sent diplomatic messages through proper channels. They were ignored. We attempted to establish contact through intermediary species. Those species were conquered and absorbed into your empire before they could deliver our messages. We tried to arrange meetings through neutral territories. You refused to acknowledge our existence. The bridge fell silent. No one had told the Emperor about diplomatic attempts from humanity. Either the messages had been filtered out by lower-level officials, or they had been deliberately hidden from him. Continue, the Emperor said grimly. We realized that the Zephyrian Empire only responds to strength. So we decided to demonstrate that humanity possesses the strength necessary to be taken seriously. We are here because polite requests do not work with your government. General Fakmer stepped forward angrily. If you want to demonstrate strength, then you have succeeded. But you are still only one ship against our entire fleet. Your threats are meaningless. Captain Chin's laughter came through the communication system. It was not the laughter of someone who was afraid. It was the laughter of someone who found the situation amusing. General Fakmer, I believe you misunderstand our position. This is not a threat. This is a notification. Let me be very clear about what is happening here. The human ship's hull began to glow with energy. Sections that had appeared solid started to shift and move. New weapon arrays became visible as they extended from hidden compartments. The energy readings on Imperial sensors climbed higher and higher. What you are looking at is the UES Retribution, a diplomatic escort vessel. It is designed to ensure peaceful meetings. It is not a warship. Not a warship? Dr. Veltara whispered. If that is not a warship, what are their actual military vessels like? You will have 30 minutes to consider our request for diplomatic talks, Captain Chun continued. After that time, we will assume that the Zephyrian Empire prefers to handle this situation through military means rather than diplomatic ones. And if we choose military action? General Fakmer demanded. Then we will defend ourselves according to human military doctrine. The communication ended. The human ship returned to its silent waiting, but now it looked completely different. What had appeared to be a sleek vessel was revealed to be something far more complex and dangerous. Energy fields surrounded the hull. Weapon systems that made no sense to Imperial science were clearly visible. Emperor Malthan turned to his advisors. I want options, all of them. General Fakmer spoke first. My lord, we attack immediately with overwhelming force. 200 ships against one. Even with their advanced technology, they cannot survive that kind of assault. Admiral Vextar, your opinion? The Admiral's voice came through the communication system. Sir, I strongly advise against military action. We do not understand their capabilities. For all we know, attacking that ship could be the last mistake we ever make. Dr. Veltara? My lord, I believe we should take their diplomatic offer seriously. They have demonstrated technological superiority. They claim to have been studying us for decades. If they wanted to destroy us, they probably could have done so already, Analyst Mordak? Sir, the mathematics are troubling. If this is truly their diplomatic vessel, and they are willing to bring it alone into the heart of imperial space, then their confidence in their military capabilities must be absolute. Emperor Malthan considered all the advice. His entire reign had been built on the principle that the Empire was the strongest force in the galaxy. Every decision he had made was based on that assumption. Now he was being forced to consider the possibility that assumption was wrong. Sir, the sensor operator called out urgently. New contacts approaching. More human ships? Yes, sir. 3 vessels dropping out of hyperspace at extreme range. The tactical display updated to show 3 new ships approaching from different directions. They were larger than the Retribution, and their energy signatures were even more impressive. Sir, Admiral Vexstar reported, these new vessels are definitely military ships. They are taking positions around our fleet. Are they targeting us? No, sir, but they are in perfect position to attack if needed. General Fakmer stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 4 ships. They think 4 ships can threaten the entire Imperial fleet? General, Dr. Veltara said quietly, what if they can? Impossible, is it? Look at the energy readings from those vessels. Each one is more powerful than our largest dreadnought. If their weapons are as advanced as their sensors and engines, then 4 ships might be more than enough. Emperor Malthan felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. For 500 years, the Empire had expanded through conquest. They had never backed down from a fight. They had never negotiated with anyone as equals, but they had also never faced an enemy like this. Sir, the communication officer called out. Message from Captain Chun. Put it through. Emperor Malthan, as you can see, additional vessels have arrived. These are actual military ships, not diplomatic escorts. I want to be very clear about something. We do not want a war with the Zephyrian Empire. War is wasteful and destructive. We prefer diplomacy. But if you choose military action, we are prepared for that as well. Our ships are in position. Our weapons are powered. Our defensive systems are active. We will not fire first, but we will respond to any attack with appropriate force. What do you consider appropriate force? The Emperor asked. Emperor, if you attack us, we will defend ourselves according to human military doctrine. I do not think you want to discover what that means. General Fakmer could not contain himself any longer. Enough of this. My lord, we cannot allow these creatures to dictate terms to the Empire. Order the attack. Emperor Malthan looked around his bridge. His general wanted war. His admiral wanted caution. His scientists wanted negotiation. His analysts wanted more. Information. The choice was his alone. Captain Chun, he said finally. You have 30 minutes, you said. What exactly are you proposing? A meeting, Emperor, face to face. You and I with appropriate escorts? We discussed the future relationship between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire. We find a way for both our civilizations to coexist peacefully. And if we cannot reach an agreement, then we will have tried diplomacy first. That is important to us. Important for what? Important for what comes after. The communication ended again. Emperor Malthan stared at the tactical display showing 4 human ships positioned around his massive fleet. 4 ships that might or might not be able to destroy everything he had built over 5 centuries of conquest. Sir, Admiral Vexstar called out, what are your orders? Emperor Malthan had ruled the galaxy through strength and fear. He had never backed down from a challenge. He had never shown weakness to any enemy, but these humans were not like any enemy he had ever faced. They spoke of diplomacy while demonstrating overwhelming technological superiority. They offered peace while positioning weapons that could probably destroy his entire fleet. "25 minutes remaining," General Thakmer said, checking his chronometer. "We need to make a decision." The Emperor looked one more time at the human ships on his display. So small compared to his massive fleet, yet somehow more dangerous than anything he had ever encountered. For the first time in his reign, Emperor Malthan was not sure what to do, and that uncertainty terrified him more than any ever had. 20 minutes passed like hours on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion. Emperor Malthan stood motionless, staring at the tactical display. 4 human ships surrounded his fleet of 200 vessels. The numbers should have been reassuring. They were not. 15 minutes remaining, my lord, General Thakmer announced. His voice was steady, but sweat glistened on his scarred forehead. "Sir," Dr. Veltara said quietly, "I have been analyzing the positioning of their ships. It is not random. Explain." "They have placed themselves at precise mathematical points around our fleet. If I am reading this correctly, they can attack any of our vessels from multiple angles simultaneously. More importantly, they have positioned themselves to prevent any of our ships from escaping." Admiral Vextar's voice crackled over the communication. "System confirmed. Their tactical positioning is perfect. Too perfect. They know exactly how our ships move, how fast they can accelerate, how quickly they can change direction. They have planned for every possible response we might make." Emperor Malthan felt his jaw tighten. "How is that possible?" "Sir, analyst," Mordic said, consulting his data tablet, "if they have been observing us for decades as they claim, they have seen our fleet tactics in hundreds of battles. They know how we fight better than we do." 10 minutes, my lord," General Thakmer announced. The Emperor walked to the communications station. "Open a channel to Captain Chun." "Channel open, sir." "Captain Chun, this is Emperor Malthan. Before I make my decision, I want to understand something. What happens if I choose to fight?" Her response was immediate and matter-of-fact. "You will lose, Emperor." The blunt answer sent a shock through the bridge. No one had ever spoken to the Emperor with such casual certainty about defeating Imperial forces. "That seems unlikely," General Thakmer snarled into the microphone. "We outnumber you 50 to 1. "General Thakmer," Captain Chun replied, "you are thinking in terms of old warfare. Numbers matter when technology is roughly equal. When one side has overwhelming technological superiority, numbers become irrelevant." "Prove it," the general demanded. There was a pause. Then Captain Chun's voice returned, and it carried a note of regret. "Very well. We will provide a small demonstration." The human ship called Retribution suddenly moved. It did not accelerate slowly like Imperial vessels. It simply appeared in a different location, as if it had teleported across space. The movement was so fast that Imperial sensors could barely track it. "How did they do that?" Dr. Veltara gasped. "Unknown," Admiral Vextar reported. "Our sensors show impossible acceleration. They move from stationary to maximum speed instantly." That should have torn their ship apart. The Retribution positioned itself directly in front of the Imperial flagship, Iron Thunder, Admiral Vextar's command ship. It was close enough that the two vessels could have touched if they extended their docking arms. "Attention, Imperial fleet," Captain Chain announced. "What you are about to see is a demonstration of human defensive technology. The Iron Thunder will fire all weapons at the Retribution. We will not return fire. This is purely a test of our defensive capabilities." "Sir," Admiral Vextar called out urgently, "I did not authorize any weapons fire." "Admiral," the Emperor said grimly, "fire all weapons at the human ship. My lord, are you certain?" "Do it. I want to see what their defenses can handle." "Sir, firing all weapons at point-blank range could destroy both ships if their shields fail." "Admiral, that is an order." There was a long pause. Then Admiral Vextar's voice returned heavy with resignation. "All weapons target the human vessel. Fire." The Iron Thunder unleashed everything it had. Plasma cannons that could melt asteroids. Quantum torpedoes that could crack moons. Energy beams that could slice through the hulls of dreadnoughts. The combined firepower was enough to destroy an entire city, the space between the two ships filled with brilliant light. As the weapons discharged, the energy release was so intense that every ship in the fleet had to activate emergency filters on their viewing screens to avoid being blinded. When the light faded, both ships were still there. The Iron Thunder showed scorch marks where its own weapons had overloaded from firing at maximum power. The Retribution looked exactly the same as before. "Impossible," General Fakemore whispered. "Sir," the sensor operator reported, "the human ship shows no damage, none at all. Their shields absorbed the entire barrage without even flickering. How much power would that require?" Dr. Veltara asked. "Unknown, more than our entire fleet." "Generates." Emperor Malthan stared at the undamaged human ship. The Iron Thunder was one of the most powerful vessels in the Imperial Navy. Its weapons could destroy any known ship in the galaxy. Yet they had not even scratched the human vessels. "Defenses. Demonstration complete," Captain Chun announced. "As you can see, your weapons cannot penetrate our defensive systems. Are you ready for the second part of the demonstration?" "There is more?" the Emperor asked. "Yes, we have shown you our defenses. Now we will show you our weapons. Please observe." The Retribution moved again with that impossible speed, positioning itself at the edge of the Imperial formation. It pointed toward an empty region of space where nothing existed except cosmic dust and distant stars. "We will now demonstrate human offensive capabilities. The target is an asteroid approximately 1 light minute away. Please observe your long-range sensors." Emperor Malthan looked at the tactical display. His sensors showed a small asteroid drifting in the void, so far away it was barely detectable. The human ship fired. There was no visible beam, no projectile, no energy discharge that Imperial sensors could detect. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the asteroid simply ceased to exist. "Sir," the sensor operator said in a shaky voice, "the target has been completely destroyed. Atomic-level destruction. There is not even debris." "What kind of weapon can do that?" Dr. Veltara asked. "Unknown. Our sensors detected no energy discharge, no projectile, nothing. The asteroid was there one moment and gone the next." "Range to target?" Admiral Vextar inquired. "Approximately 18 billion kilometers, sir." The bridge fell silent. The implications were staggering. The humans had just destroyed a target at a distance so great that light took a full minute to travel between the weapon and its target. Imperial weapons had effective ranges measured in thousands of kilometers, not billions. "Captain Chun," the Emperor said, his voice carefully controlled, "that was an impressive demonstration." "Thank you, Emperor. Now, if you're ready, we will demonstrate our offensive capabilities against military targets." "What do you mean?" "We will disable one of your ships. Non-lethally, of course. We have no desire to harm your crew. Please select a vessel for the demonstration." General Fakemore exploded with rage. "My lord, you cannot allow them to attack our ships. This is intolerable." "General," the Emperor said quietly, "I think we are past the point where what I allow matters." He studied the tactical display, looking at his fleet of proud warships. Each one represented years of construction, billions of credits, and the lives of thousands of crew members. Choosing one to be a target was like choosing which of his children to sacrifice. "The cruiser Stellar Pride," he said finally. "It has the smallest crew complement." "Sir," Captain Chun responded, "we will disable the Stellar Pride using minimum force. Please note that this is not an attack. It is a demonstration. The crew will not be harmed." On the tactical display, one of the human military vessels moved into position. Like the Retribution, it moved with impossible speed and grace. It positioned itself several thousand kilometers from the Stellar Pride, well outside the range of Imperial weapons. "Firing," Captain Chun announced. Again, Imperial sensors detected nothing. No energy beam, no projectile, no visible effect of any kind, but the Stellar Pride suddenly went dark. "Sir," Admiral Vextar reported, "the Stellar Pride has lost all power. Engines offline, weapons offline, life support on emergency backup only." "Damage report?" "No damage, sir. All systems are intact but non-functional. It is as if someone simply turned off every piece of technology on the ship. Can they restart their systems?" "Negative." Whatever the humans did, it has completely shut down every electronic device on that vessel. The crew is alive, but the ship is effectively dead. Emperor Malthus stared at the disabled cruiser. The Stellar Pride had been built using the finest technology the Empire possessed. Its defenses had been designed to withstand any known weapon. Yet the humans had disabled it without causing any physical damage at all. How? He asked. Sir, Dr. Veltara said, consulting her scientific instruments, I believe they use some form of electromagnetic pulse, but far more sophisticated than anything we understand. They somehow disrupted the quantum functions of every electronic device on that ship simultaneously. Can we protect against it? Not with our current technology. This is centuries beyond anything we have developed. Captain Chun, the Emperor said into the communication system, you have made your point. Your weapons and defenses are superior to ours. Thank you for acknowledging that, Emperor. Now we will demonstrate why you should not attempt to fight. US even knowing this. There is more? Oh yes. What you have seen so far is what one of our ships can do alone. Now we will show you what happens when human ships work together. The 4 human vessels moved into a formation that looked almost like a dance. They positioned themselves at the corners of a perfect square around the Imperial fleet. Energy fields began to connect the ships, creating a web of power that surrounded every Imperial vessel. Attention Imperial fleet, Captain Chun announced. You are now contained within a human tactical grid. All of your ships are targeted simultaneously. All of your weapons are being suppressed. All of your engines are being monitored. You cannot move, you cannot fight, and you cannot escape. Impossible, General Thakmar breathed. Sir? Admiral Vextar's voice was tight with tension. She is correct. Every ship in the fleet is reporting the same thing. Weapons offline, engines locked, communication systems disrupted. We are completely helpless. Emperor Malthus looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. For the first time in 500 years of Imperial expansion, the greatest fleet in the galaxy had been defeated without firing a shot. Captain Chun, he said quietly, what do you want? The same thing I wanted 30 minutes ago, Emperor? A conversation. The only difference is that now you understand the consequences of refusing to talk. The energy grid around the Imperial fleet flickered and disappeared. Instantly, all the disabled ships came back online. Weapon systems activated, engines powered up, communications were restored. Your fleet is free to go, Captain Chun announced. But before you leave, you should know that this demonstration used approximately 1% of our available military capability. If you choose to continue this conflict, the next encounter will not be a demonstration. Emperor Malthus sat heavily in his command chair. In the space of 30 minutes, everything he thought he knew about warfare had been proven wrong. The Empire was not the strongest force in the galaxy. They were not even close. Captain Chun, he said, his voice heavy with defeat, I accept your request for diplomatic talks. The meeting was arranged for neutral space, halfway between the human ships and the Imperial fleet. Emperor Malthus had insisted on bringing his full ceremonial guard, 50 of his finest warriors in golden armor. Captain Chun had agreed to meet. With only 3 companions as the Imperial shuttle approached the designated coordinates, Emperor Malthus studied the human vessel waiting for them. It was smaller than his shuttle, but somehow looked more advanced. The hull was smooth and featureless, with no visible weapons or engines. It simply floated in space as if the laws of physics did not apply to it. My lord, General Thakmar said, checking his weapons for the 10th time, I still believe this is a mistake. We should have brought more ships, more soldiers. General, the Emperor replied tiredly, after what we witnessed, do you really think a few more soldiers would make any difference? Dr. Veltara looked up from her scientific instruments. Sir, I am reading incredible energy signatures from their vessel. Whatever technology they are using, it is unlike anything we have ever encountered. The Imperial shuttle docked with the human ship with surprising ease. The docking systems seemed to adjust automatically to accommodate the different designs. As they prepared to board, Emperor Malfin straightened his golden robes and tried to project the authority he had always possessed. The airlock opened, and Emperor Malfin got his first look at actual humans. They were surprisingly ordinary. Captain Chun was a woman of average height with brown hair and dark eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with no decorations except for small rank insignia on her collar. The three officers with her looked equally unremarkable. "Emperor Malfin," Captain Chun said, bowing slightly in the formal Zephyrian manner. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting." The Emperor was taken aback by her perfect knowledge of Imperial protocol. "Captain Chin, you honor us with your courtesy. Please follow me to the conference room." As they walked through the human ship, Emperor Malfin observed everything carefully. The corridors were clean and efficient, with no wasted space. The walls displayed information in symbols he could not read, but somehow the ship felt more advanced than anything in the Imperial fleet. The conference room was simple but comfortable. A round table with chairs for all participants. No weapons, no guards, no signs of military presence. It felt more like a business meeting than a negotiation between galactic powers. "Please be seated," Captain Chun said. "Would you care for refreshments? We have learned to synthesize beverages that are safe for Zephyrian physiology. You have studied us that thoroughly?" Dr. Veltara asked. "Dr. Veltara, we have been observing your civilization for over 40 years. We know your biology, your culture, your history, your technology. We probably know your people better than you know yourselves." General Thakmer bristled. "Why? What gives you the right to spy on us?" Captain Chin's expression remained calm. "General, we observe all spacefaring civilizations. It is part of our responsibility as a member of the galactic community." "What galactic community?" the Emperor asked. "The community of species that have evolved beyond conquest and domination. The civilizations that have learned to coexist peacefully and share the galaxy's resources." "How many species are in this community?" Dr. Veltara inquired. "Currently, 47 different civilizations. They represent approximately 60% of all intelligent life in this galaxy." The Emperor felt his world shifting beneath him. "Are you saying that most of the galaxy is united against us?" "Not against you, Emperor. They simply choose not to interact with conquest-based civilizations. The Zephyrian Empire has been ... isolated. Why have we never encountered these other species?" Captain Chun smiled sadly. "Because they avoid you. When your scouts approach their territories, they hide. When your fleets enter their space, they withdraw. They have been waiting for you to either evolve beyond conquest or to encounter someone who could force you to change. Someone like humanity," General Thakmer said grimly. "Yes." The Emperor leaned back in his chair. For 500 years, he had believed the Empire was expanding into empty space, conquering primitive species and bringing civilization to the galaxy. Now he was learning that advanced civilizations had been avoiding him all along. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "We want you to stop," Captain Chun said simply. "Stop what?" "Stop conquering. Stop enslaving other species. Stop expanding through force and violence. Join the galactic community as equals rather than conquerors." General Thakmer slammed his fist on the table. "The Empire has expanded for 500 years. Our entire civilization is built on conquest. You cannot simply ask us to abandon everything we are." "General, we are not asking. We are telling you that the age of conquest is over. Your choice is simple: evolve or be forced to change." "Are you threatening us?" the Emperor asked quietly. "Emperor, what you witnessed today was not a threat. It was a demonstration of reality. Humanity has the capability to end the Zephyrian Empire whenever we choose. The fact that we are sitting here talking instead of fighting is our gift to you." Dr. Veltara leaned forward. "Captain, I must ask about your technology. How did you advance so far beyond us so quickly?" "Dr. Veltara, you are making an assumption. You assume that humanity is younger than your civilization. Are you not? Our records show humans achieved spaceflight only 50 years ago." Captain Chun exchanged glances with her companions. Dr. Valtara, humanity has been spacefaring for over 3,000 years. The silence in the room was absolute. That is impossible, General Thakmor said. We would have encountered you before now. General, humanity learned early in our development that the galaxy contained many aggressive species. We learned to be careful, to observe before acting, to remain hidden until we understood what we were dealing with. You have been hiding from us for 3,000 years? The Emperor asked. Not just from you. From all conquest-based civilizations, we have been watching, learning, and preparing. Preparing for what? For this moment. For the time when we would need to step forward and say, enough. Dr. Valtara was studying her instruments. Captain, if you have been spacefaring for 3,000 years, your technology must be ... centuries ahead of yours, yes. The ships you saw today are not our most advanced vessels. They are what we use for diplomatic missions because they are less likely to cause panic. Less likely? General Thakmor laughed bitterly. Your diplomatic ships just disabled our entire fleet. General, our actual warships would have destroyed your fleet. Every ship, every crew member, every trace that you ever existed in approximately 30 seconds. The Emperor felt cold fear in his stomach. How many ships do you have? Emperor, you are still thinking in terms of individual ships. Humanity does not count ships. We count fleets. We have thousands of fleets. Thousands? Yes, and each fleet contains technology that makes what you witnessed today look primitive. General Thakmor stared at her in disbelief. If you have that kind of power, why did you not simply destroy us years ago? Because, General, humanity believes that every species deserves a chance to evolve. We hope that civilizations can learn to be better than their worst impulses. We give them opportunities to change. And if they do not change? Captain Chun's expression hardened. Then we ensure they can no longer harm others. The Emperor understood the implication. What happened to other conquest-based civilizations, the ones that refused to change? Some learned to coexist peacefully. They joined the galactic community and found prosperity through cooperation rather than conquest. And the others? There are no others, Emperor. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Emperor Malthan realized he was looking at the end of everything his civilization had ever been. Either the Empire would transform itself completely, or it would cease to exist. What exactly are you proposing? He asked. A transition period. Over the next 50 years, the Zephyrian Empire will gradually release its conquered territories. Subject species will be given their freedom. Your military will be restructured for defense rather than conquest. Your government will learn to interact with other civilizations as equals. And if we refuse? Then humanity will implement the transition for you, immediately and permanently. General Thakmor stood up angrily. This is intolerable. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We bow to no one. Captain Chun looked at him with something that might have been pity. General, your empire exists because we allow it to exist. Your ships fly because we permit them to fly. Your worlds remain inhabited because we choose not to make them uninhabitable. You bow to us whether you admit it or not? The general reached for his weapon, but before his hand could touch it, he found himself unable to move. His armor had somehow locked in position, holding him motionless. General, Captain Chun said calmly, there are no weapons in this room that we have not neutralized. There are no threats you can make that we cannot counter. There are no actions you can take that we have not already prevented. She gestured, and the general's armor released him. He staggered back into his chair, staring at his hands as if they had betrayed him. Emperor, Captain Chun continued, we hope you will choose the path of cooperation. Humanity would prefer to welcome the Zephyrian Empire into the galactic community, rather than dismantling it. How long do we have to decide? The Emperor asked. You have already decided, Emperor. The moment you agreed to this meeting, you acknowledged that humanity is the dominant power in this relationship. Now we are simply discussing the details of how your civilization will adapt to the new reality. The Emperor looked around the conference room at his advisors. General Thakmor sat in stunned silence. Dr. Veltara was furiously taking notes on her instruments. All of them understood that they were witnessing the end of one age and the beginning of another. "What guarantees do we have?" the Emperor asked. "How do we know humanity will honor any agreement we make?" "Emperor, if we wanted to destroy you, we would have done so already. If we wanted to conquer you, your empire would already be ours. We are here because we believe in giving civilizations the chance to choose their own future, within limits. Yes, within the limits of not harming others." Emperor Malfin stood and walked to the viewport. Outside he could see his fleet. In the distance, looking small and fragile against the backdrop of stars. Ships that had conquered 1,000 worlds now seemed like toys compared to the technology he had witnessed. "Captain Chun," he said finally, "if I agree to your terms, what happens to me? What happens to the empire I have built? Emperor, you remain the leader of your people, but instead of ruling through conquest, you will lead them into a larger community. Instead of expanding through war, you will grow through cooperation. Instead of being feared by the galaxy, you will be respected by it. And if I refuse?" Captain Chun joined him at the viewport. "Then someone else will lead your people into that future. The future itself is not negotiable, Emperor. Only your role in it." Emperor Malfin stared out at the stars for a long time. Finally, he turned back to face the human captain. "I accept your terms," he said quietly. "Thank you, Emperor. I believe you have made the right choice." As they prepared to return to their respective ships, Captain Chun handed the Emperor a small device. "What is this?" "A communication device. When you are ready to begin the transition, activate it." "We will be." "There to help." "Help?" "Emperor, transforming a conquest-based civilization into a peaceful one is not easy. We have experience with this process. We will guide you through it." As the Imperial shuttle returned to the Eternal Dominion, Emperor Malfin sat in silence. Behind him, the age of conquest was ending. Ahead of him, a new and uncertain future was beginning. But for the first time in centuries, it was a future where the galaxy might know peace.
Captain Orax stood at the observation deck. His 4 eyes narrowed as he looked at the damaged ship floating in the docking bay. The Resilient had once been a proud light cruiser in the Galactic Confederation fleet. Now it was just a broken hull with too many problems to fix. "What a waste of resources," Orax muttered. His gray skin wrinkled around his mouth as he frowned. That ship survived 3 border skirmishes before taking that hit to the quantum core. Next to him, Engineer Talus nodded. "The damage to the quantum lattice is too severe. We would need to replace the entire system, and that would cost more than building a new ship. And yet protocol demands we offer it to the humans," Orax said with a small laugh. "As a welcome gift to the newest members of the Confederation." Talus clicked his teeth, a sound that showed amusement among his species. "They won't take it. Even those primitive apes can see this ship is beyond repair." "Let's get this ceremony over with," Orax said, turning to walk toward the meeting room. "The faster we offer it, the faster they'll refuse, and we can finally scrap this wreck." Commander Jack Wilson tried not to fidget as he sat in a large chair designed for a being twice his size. 6 months as Earth's military liaison to the Galactic Confederation had taught him patience. Aliens moved at their own pace, especially when it came to formal meetings. The door slid open, and Captain Orax entered with his team. Jack stood up and gave the Confederation salute, right hand flat against his chest, then extended outward. "Commander Wilson," Orax said with a forced smile, "thank you for coming on such short notice." "It's my pleasure, Captain," Jack replied. "Your message mentioned a gift for Earth." Orax nodded and pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing a damaged ship rotating slowly. "The light cruiser Resilient," Orax explained. "A fine vessel with an honorable service record. It was damaged in our recent border conflict with the Drex Collective." Jack leaned forward, studying the hologram with interest. He could see the damage. A large section of the hull was torn open near what appeared to be the engine section. "As Earth joins the Confederation as our newest member," Orax continued, It is our tradition to offer a ship from our fleet as a gesture of welcome and trust. We would be honored if Earth would accept the Resilient. Jack noticed the slight twitch in Orax's upper left eye. During his time in the Confederation, he had learned to read alien expressions. That twitch meant Orax was being dishonest. "May I ask about the extent of the damage?" Jack said, keeping his voice neutral. Talus stepped forward. The quantum lattice core suffered a direct hit from a Drex phase cannon. The core is beyond repair, and replacing it would be impractical. Jack understood now. This wasn't a gift. It was a clever way to get rid of an expensive problem. The Confederation couldn't just scrap a ship with an honorable service record without looking bad. But if they gifted it to Earth and Earth refused, they could scrap it without losing face. What the aliens didn't know was that Jack had spent most of his 6 months studying Confederation technology. He had read every technical manual he could access, and had even made friends with junior engineers who showed him how their ships worked. Jack walked closer to the hologram and pointed at the damaged section. "This is the quantum lattice that powers the ship and connects all its systems, right?" "Correct," Talus said, surprised by the human's knowledge. "Without it, the ship cannot function, and Earth does not have the technology to repair or replace quantum lattice cores." Jack circled the hologram, examining it from all angles. The ship was bigger than anything humans had built, about 300 meters long with elegant curves and the distinctive blue glow of antimatter engines. Despite the damage, most of the ship looked intact. "Earth accepts this generous gift," Jack said suddenly. The room went silent. Orax blinked all 4 eyes in surprise. "Commander Wilson," Orax said carefully, "perhaps you do not understand. This ship cannot fly. It cannot fight. The quantum lattice is the heart of all Confederation vessels." Jack smiled. "I understand completely, Captain. But even a damaged Confederation ship has much to teach us. We are grateful for your generosity." Talus made that clicking sound again, but this time it wasn't from amusement. "You would accept a useless ship. One person's trash is another person's treasure," Jack said. "It's a human saying." Orax looked uncomfortable, but nodded. "Very well. The Resilient is yours. We will arrange for it to be towed to Earth's orbital shipyard." "Thank you, Captain. Earth appreciates this welcome gift." 3 days later, Jack stood in Earth's orbital shipyard as the tug ships carefully positioned the Resilient in the largest docking bay. Next to him, Dr. Anna Foster and Tom Rivera looked up at the damaged vessel with wide eyes. "When you said you got us a ship, I thought you meant something small," Anna said. She was Earth's leading expert on materials science, with 3 phases and a reputation for solving impossible problems. "Is that a hole the size of a football field?" Tom asked, pointing at the damaged section. Tom was a veteran spaceship mechanic who had worked on everything from the first Mars shuttles to the latest Earth cruisers. "More or less," Jack admitted. "The quantum lattice core took a direct hit." "And they just gave it to us?" Anna asked. Jack laughed. "They gave it to us because they think we can't fix it. The quantum lattice technology is beyond our manufacturing capabilities. They expect us to study it for a while and then give up." Tom walked closer to the ship, his experienced eyes scanning the damage. "So why did you accept it if we can't fix it?" Jack smiled. "Because we're not going to fix it. We're going to rebuild it. Our way." "What do you mean?" Anna asked. "The Confederation builds ships that are perfect, elegant, and advanced. But when they break completely," Jack explained. "They design ships that should never fail, while we design ships that can still work even when they do fail." Tom nodded slowly as he understood. "You want us to replace their fancy quantum systems with our primitive technology." "Exactly. We might not have quantum lattices, but we have options they never consider. Manual backups, mechanical systems, redundancies." Anna crossed her arms. "They'll laugh at us." "They're already laughing," Jack said. "But not for long. I've assembled a team of Earth's best engineers and scientists. If anyone can make this ship fly again, it's us." Tom smiled and slapped Jack on the back. "Well, I fixed worse with less." Jack looked up at the damaged vessel. The aliens thought they had given Earth a useless gift. But Jack saw potential where they saw only failure. "They think this ship is weak," he told his team. "Let's make it unstoppable." The next morning, Earth's orbital shipyard buzzed with activity. Workers moved around the damaged Resilient like ants, setting up equipment and scanning the massive ship. Jack had called in every favor he was owed to assemble this team. Anna stood in front of a large screen, pointing at different sections of the ship. 20 engineers and scientists watched her with careful attention. "The quantum lattice isn't just damage," she explained. "It's shattered. The Confederation builds these systems as a single unit. They're not designed to be repaired piece by piece." Tom leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "So we'd need to replace the whole thing. And we can't build quantum lattices." "Exactly," Anna said. "That's why they think this ship is junk." A young engineer raised his hand. "Can we buy a replacement from the Confederation?" Jack shook his head. "Even if we could afford it, they wouldn't sell it to us. That technology is closely guarded." The room fell silent. Then Tom pushed himself off the wall and walked to the front. "Look, I've been inside this ship for the past 12 hours, he said, "and I've learned something important. The quantum lattice connects all systems, yes, but most of those systems still work. They just can't talk to each other anymore." Anna nodded slowly. "So if we could replace the lattice with our own connection system, we could make the ship work again," Tom finished. "Not their way. Our way." Jack smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. "Let's get to work." 3 days later, the team gathered for their first major decision. They had mapped the entire ship, identified every system, and determined what could be saved and what needed to be replaced. "We can't fix it their way," Anna announced, looking tired but excited. "So we'll fix it our way." She pressed a button, and a new design appeared on the screen. It showed the Resilient with significant changes. "We'll strip out the damaged quantum lattice completely," she explained. "Instead, we'll install our best hybrid analog-digital systems to connect all the ship's functions." Tom pointed to the engine section. "The antimatter drive is actually in good shape. We just need a new way to control it. We'll add mechanical backups and manual overrides." One by one, team members explained their solutions. Where the aliens had elegant integrated systems, the humans planned to add redundancies. Where the aliens had pure digital controls, the humans would add physical backups. Jack watched with pride as his team found creative solutions to every problem. They weren't just repairing a ship, they were reimagining it. 2 weeks into the project, a Confederation shuttle arrived at the shipyard. Engineer Tallis had come to observe their progress, along with 3 other alien officials. "Commander Wilson," Tallis said as he stepped onto the main deck, "the Confederation is curious about your efforts." Jack smiled. "We're happy to show you our progress. Tom will give you the tour." Tom led the aliens through the ship, pointing out the changes they had made. The aliens' expressions changed from curiosity to confusion, and finally to something like horror. In the engine room, Tallis stared at the new control systems. Where there had once been sleek, hidden technology, now there were visible wires, manual gauges, and physical control panels. "You've added buttons?" Tallis asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "Buttons, levers, and good old-fashioned switches," Tom confirmed proudly. "If the digital systems fail, our crew can still control the ship manually." Tallis moved to another section, where workers were installing what looked like large metal wheels on the walls. "And what are these primitive devices?" "Emergency airlock controls," Tom explained. "If power fails, you can seal or open doors by hand." By the time they reached the bridge, Tallis could barely hide his dismay. The elegant, minimalist Confederation design was now filled with screens, physical controls, and backup systems. "You've turned elegant technology into a primitive machine," Tallis said. "This ship is no longer Confederation grade." Tom grinned. "Good, because Confederation grade broke." After 3 months, the ship was taking shape. The team had worked day and night, solving problems as they arose. Many of the solutions were unconventional, but effective. Jack stood in what would be the new bridge, watching as technicians installed the captain's chair. Unlike the Confederation design, this chair was surrounded by manual controls that could operate even if main power failed. Anna walked in, holding a tablet. "We've made another breakthrough," she said. "We've managed to salvage most of the sensor array. It still works, but it needs a new control system." "Any ideas?" Jack asked. Anna smiled. "Actually, yes. We're repurposing some of our neural interface technology, the kind we use for disability assistance on Earth. It turns out it synchronizes perfectly with the alien sensors." Jack raised his eyebrows. "Neural interfaces, so a human operator could connect directly with the ship's systems." "Exactly. It's not how the Confederation designed it to work, but our tests show it's even more effective. A human mind can process the sensor data more intuitively than their AI systems." Jack thought about the possibilities. The Confederation relied on artificial intelligence for most ship functions. The idea of a human pilot directly connected to a ship's systems was something they had never considered. "This could change everything," Jack said. "If we can integrate human operators with alien technology this way, we create something entirely new," Anna finished. "Not just a repaired ship, but a human-alien hybrid that takes the best of both." 5 months into the project, the Confederation sent a delegation to check on their progress. Captain Orax himself led the group this time. They arrived expecting to see a failed project. Instead, they found a ship that was nearly ready for testing. Orax walked through the vessel with Jack, his 4 eyes wide with surprise. "You've actually made progress," Orax admitted, "though I barely recognize the ship anymore." "We had to make some changes," Jack explained, "but we've kept as much of the original systems as possible." They reached the engine room, where the antimatter drive hummed with a soft blue glow. Tom was there, making final adjustments. "The drive works?" Orax asked, unable to hide his surprise. "Works better than before," Tom said. "We've added redundant control systems and emergency protocols the original design didn't have." Orax turned to Jack. "And you believe this? Hybrid will actually fly?" Jack nodded. "We're scheduling the first test flight next week. You're welcome to observe." As the aliens left, Jack could hear them talking among themselves. They were still skeptical, but no longer dismissive. Tom walked over to Jack with a grin. "They still think we're going to fail." "Let them think what they want," Jack replied. "Soon enough, we'll show them what humans can do with a broken ship." 6 months into the rebuild, the ship was nearly unrecognizable. From the outside, it still looked mostly like a Confederation vessel, with its sleek hull and distinctive lines. But inside, it had become something new, a blend of alien precision and human ingenuity. Jack stood in the newly completed bridge, watching as the final systems came online. Screens lit up around the circular room, showing ship status, navigation data, and sensor readings. Unlike the Confederation design, which hid all technology behind smooth panels, the human bridge proudly displayed its controls. "It's beautiful," Anna said as she walked in. "Not in the way the aliens would appreciate, but beautiful nonetheless." Jack nodded. "How are the neural interface tests going?" Anna's face lit up with excitement. "That's why I came to find you. We've had a breakthrough. I think you need to see this." In the science lab 2 decks below, a man sat in a specially designed chair. Lieutenant Mark Jones had been a pilot in Earth's Space Force before an accident damaged his spine. Now he had neural implants that helped him walk, and made him the perfect candidate for Anna's experiments. When Jack and Anna entered, Mark was wearing a sleek headset connected to a bank of computers. His eyes were closed, and his hands rested on control panels. "Watch this," Anna said. She pressed a button on her tablet. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing a complex simulation of space debris. A small ship, represented by a green dot, moved through the field of objects. "Mark is controlling the simulated ship with his mind," Anna explained. "The neural interface lets him connect directly with the ship's systems." Jack watched in amazement as the green dot navigated through the debris field with incredible precision. It wasn't just avoiding obstacles, it was finding the most efficient path through them. "This is impressive," Jack admitted, "but the Confederation has advanced AI for navigation. How is this better?" Anna smiled. "Ask him to explain." Jack approached Mark. "Lieutenant, can you hear me?" Mark's eyes remained closed, but he nodded. "Yes, Commander. I can talk while I navigate. Tell me what you're experiencing." Mark's lips curved into a smile. "It's like I am a ship. I don't just see the debris field. I feel it. The sensors give me data that my brain processes as instinct. I don't calculate paths. I feel the right way to go." Jack looked at Anna with raised eyebrows. "That's the difference," Anna explained. "The Confederation AI processes data logically, finding the mathematically best solution. But Mark processes it intuitively, like how you know how to catch a ball without calculating its trajectory. The human brain can make intuitive leaps that AI can't. And this works with the alien systems," Jack asked. "Better than we expected. Our neural interfaces sync perfectly with their sensor technology. It's like they were made for each other, even though they were developed galaxies apart." Jack watched the simulation for another minute, ideas forming in his mind. "Can we expand this beyond just navigation?" Anna nodded enthusiastically. "We already are. We're connecting the weapons systems, life support, even engineering. A human operator could potentially control or monitor every system on the ship through the neural interface. And if those systems fail, we still have all the manual backups," Anna assured him. "The best of both worlds." 2 weeks later, the ship was ready for its first full systems test. The team had worked around the clock to integrate the neural interface with all major ship functions. Mark had spent hours each day in simulations, learning to control more and more systems simultaneously. Jack called a meeting of all department heads in the main conference room. It was time to make a critical decision. "The ship needs a name," he announced. "It's not the Resilient anymore. It's something new." Tom leaned back in his chair. "How about the Phoenix? In Earth mythology, it's a bird that rises from its own ashes, reborn." Murmurs of approval filled the room. Jack nodded. "I like it. The HSS Phoenix, Human Spaceship Phoenix." As the meeting ended, Anna pulled Jack aside. "There's something you should see." She led him to a small observation room overlooking the main hangar. Through the window, Jack could see a group of Confederation officials being given a tour of the ship. Engineer Tallis was among them, along with several aliens Jack didn't recognize. "They arrived an hour ago," Anna explained. "Apparently, word has spread about our progress. These are ship designers from the Confederation's Advanced Technology Division." Jack watched as the aliens examined the ship's exterior. Their expressions were hard to read, but their body language showed intense interest. "They don't believe it will work," Anna said, "but they're curious enough to come see for themselves." "Let them watch," Jack replied. "Soon they'll see what humans can do." The next day, Mark sat in the pilot's chair on the bridge of the Phoenix. The neural interface headset was more streamlined now, designed to be worn comfortably for hours. Around him, the bridge crew took their stations. Jack stood behind him, watching as the final preparations were made. Through the viewports, he could see the shipyard workers clearing the area around the ship. "All systems are green," reported the engineering officer. "Power level stable. Artificial gravity active. Life support nominal." Jack took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Either the ship would power up and prove their approach worked, or it would fail and prove the aliens right. "Lieutenant Jones, begin power-up sequence," Jack ordered. Mark closed his eyes as he connected with the ship. "Neural interface active," he said, his voice calm. "I can feel all systems. They're responding to me." Around the bridge, screens came alive with data. The soft hum of the engines began to build. "Antimatter containment stable," reported engineering. "Drive is responding to commands." Jack felt the slight vibration through the deck plates as the ship's systems fully engaged for the first time. "Sensor arrays active," Mark reported. I can see the entire shipyard. It's amazing. The data is so clear." On the main screen, a perfect image of the space around the ship appeared. It was sharper and more detailed than anything Jack had seen on a Confederation vessel. "Weapon systems online," reported the tactical officer. "All defensive systems responding." One by one, each system came online. There were small issues here and there. A power fluctuation in the lower decks, a communications glitch, but nothing major. The integration was working. "Commander," Mark said, opening his eyes and looking up at Jack. "The Phoenix is ready." Jack couldn't help but smile. 6 months ago, the Confederation had given them a broken ship as a joke. Now they had created something unprecedented, a true hybrid of human and alien technology. "Well done, everyone," Jack said, looking around at his crew. "We've just proven that something the Confederation thought was impossible is actually possible. But this is just the beginning." He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. "Now let's show them what this ship can really do." Word spread quickly about the Phoenix. 1 year after receiving the damaged vessel, Earth was ready to demonstrate its creation to the Galactic Confederation. Admiral Lewis, commander of Earth's Space Force, arrived at the orbital shipyard to oversee the final preparations. "You've done something remarkable here, Jack," the admiral said as they walked through the ship. "But the Confederation still doesn't believe it will work properly." Jack nodded. "They think our modifications are too crude, too human." "Then let's show them how humans do things," Admiral Lewis replied with a smile. "I've arranged a special demonstration." The test would take place in the Epsilon training range, a complex asteroid field used by the Confederation for advanced ship training. The course was designed to test a vessel's navigation, weapons, and defensive capabilities. As the Phoenix approached the training range, a small fleet of Confederation observer ships took position nearby. On the bridge, Jack could feel the tension in the air. "They've sent quite an audience," Tom remarked, looking at the tactical display showing 7 Confederation vessels. "I count 3 military ships and 4 science vessels," Mark reported from the pilot's chair. "And Captain Orax is commanding the lead observer ship." Jack wasn't surprised. Orax had given them the damaged ship expecting failure. Of course he would want to witness the outcome. "Lieutenant Jones, take us into start position," Jack ordered. "Let's show them what this ship can do." Mark closed his eyes as the neural interface activated. "Connected to all systems," he reported. "The ship feels eager." The Phoenix moved smoothly to the starting point of the course. On the main screen, the asteroid field spread out before them, hundreds of rocks ranging from the size of a car to the size of a small moon. This course was designed for ships with quantum navigation systems, Admiral Lewis explained to the bridge crew. "No human vessel has ever completed it successfully." "Until today," Jack said confidently. The Admiral nodded to the communications officer. "Signal the Confederation that we're ready to begin." A moment later, Captain Orax's face appeared on the screen. "Commander Wilson," he said formally. "The standard course time for a light cruiser is 12 minutes. The record is 8 minutes, 43 seconds. You may begin when ready." Jack nodded to Mark. "Take us in, Lieutenant." The Phoenix entered the asteroid field with remarkable precision. Mark guided the ship through narrow gaps between rocks, his mind directly connected to the ship's sensors and engines. 3 minutes in, reported the tactical officer. "We're ahead of standard pace." On the observer ships, the Confederation officials watched with growing surprise as the human vessel navigated the course faster than expected. Engineer Tallis studied the sensor readings with particular interest. The ship's movements are different, he noted to Captain Orax. Less calculated, more fluid. It's the human pilot, Orax replied. They're using neural interface technology to control the ship directly. Tallis's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. That's not how our ships are designed to work. Evidently, the humans didn't read the manual, Orax said dryly. Back on the Phoenix, Mark guided the ship deeper into the course. Now came the combat portion. Automated defense drones would simulate attacks, and the ship needed to evade or neutralize them. Drones activating, reported the tactical officer. 20 targets approaching from multiple vectors. Mark didn't open his eyes. Through the neural interface, he could sense the drones more effectively than by looking at a screen. I see them. Preparing defensive measures. The weapons officer's hands hovered over the controls, but he didn't need to use them. Mark was controlling the ship's defense systems through the neural link, responding to threats almost instantly. Target neutralize, Mark reported as the first drone was hit by a precision beam. Second target, third target. One by one, the drones were disabled. The Phoenix moved with surprising agility, dodging attacks while launching its own. It wasn't just the neural interface that made the difference. It was the combination of all their modifications. The hybrid systems allowed the ship to perform maneuvers that a standard Confederation vessel couldn't match. 7 minutes elapsed, reported the tactical officer. We're on pace to break the record. Jack exchanged glances with Admiral Lewis. They were proving their point more dramatically than they had hoped. Then the unexpected happened. One of the asteroid fragments broke apart, sending a piece hurtling directly toward the ship at high speed. There was no time to evade. Impact imminent, shouted the tactical officer. The asteroid fragment hit the Phoenix square on the port side. The ship shuddered, and several systems went offline immediately. Main power grid damage, reported engineering. Switching to secondary systems. In a standard Confederation ship, this would have ended the test. Their vessels were designed around the principle that systems shouldn't fail, so they had few contingencies for when they did. But the Phoenix was different. Manual controls active, Mark reported calmly. Switching to backup systems. Neural link still operational through secondary pathways. Jack watched in amazement as the damaged chip continued through the course. The manual controls they had installed, the redundant systems, the mechanical backups, all of these primitive additions were now keeping them in the fight. Propulsion at 60%, reported engineering. But we're still moving. On the observer ships, the Confederation officials were stunned. They watched as the damaged vessel continued through the course, completing objectives even with compromised systems. Impossible. Tallis whispered as the Phoenix disabled the final drone target. The ship shouldn't be able to function after the main system's failure. The Phoenix crossed the finish line at 10 minutes, 12 seconds, not a record time, but extraordinary for a damaged vessel. As the ship docked with the main Confederation station, Jack and Admiral Lewis prepared to meet with the observers. The crew of the Phoenix were jubilant despite the damage. They had proven their point. Captain Orax and Engineer Tallis boarded the Phoenix with a delegation of Confederation officials. They toured the damaged section, seeing firsthand how the human modifications had allowed the ship to continue functioning. Your ship was hit badly, Tallis noted, examining the damage. Yet you completed the course. That's the difference, Jack explained. Your ships are designed to never fail. Ours are designed to keep going when they do. Orax studied Jack with newfound respect. You've created something unexpected, Commander Wilson. Not a Confederation ship, not an Earth ship, but something new. The best of both worlds, Jack agreed. We kept what worked from your technology and added what was missing from ours. As the aliens left, Admiral Lewis patted Jack on the shoulder. Well done, Commander. The Confederation is officially impressed. They've requested detailed information on all your modifications. Jack smiled. And what did you tell them? That we'd be happy to discuss a technology exchange. The Admiral replied with a grin. On equal terms. Tom joined them, wiping grease from his hands. So what's next for the Phoenix? Jack looked around at the ship that had once been considered trash. Repairs first. Then we show the galaxy what humans and aliens can accomplish together. The Phoenix had survived its first real test, but greater challenges and greater triumphs lay ahead. 3 months after the successful test, the Phoenix had been fully repaired and improved even further. The damage from the asteroid had taught the team valuable lessons, and they had added even more redundant systems and manual controls. The ship now served as a joint human Confederation vessel, with a mixed crew learning from each other. Mark Jones had been promoted to captain, with Jack serving as his executive officer. The Confederation had assigned several of their engineers to study the human modifications, including a junior engineer named Vex, who had become Tom's eager apprentice. The Phoenix patrolled the outer regions of Confederation space, far from the core worlds, but important nonetheless. It was a routine assignment, perfect for a ship still proving itself. Entering the Krell sector, Mark announced from the captain's chair. His neural interface headset was now a sleek, barely visible device that wrapped around his left ear. Jack studied the star map on the main screen. Mostly mining colonies and outposts in this region. Should be a quiet patrol. Little did they know that their routine mission was about to turn into something much more dangerous. Deep within Confederation headquarters, Captain Orax stood before the High Council, his face grim. The reports are confirmed, he said. A previously unknown species has launched attacks on 3 outer colonies. They call themselves the Vextar. The council members murmured among themselves. Admiral Krell, head of the Confederation fleet, leaned forward. What do we know about their capabilities? They use some kind of quantum disruption weapon, Orax reported. It targets our lattice-based technology. When hit, our ship's systems shut down completely. Have we lost vessels? Asked a council member. 4 patrol ships and 1 battle cruiser, Orax confirmed. None could defend themselves after being hit by the disruption weapon. Admiral Krell's face darkened. Deploy the 7th Fleet to the border. We must contain this threat immediately. There's one more thing, Orax added. The Phoenix is currently patrolling the Krell sector, near where the latest attack occurred. The human ship. Admiral Krell asked. Recall it immediately. It's too valuable to lose. I've already sent the order, Orax replied. But there's a possibility they'll encounter the Vextar before they can return. On the Phoenix, the communication officer turned to Jack with concern on her face. Sir, we're receiving an emergency transmission from the mining colony on Krell 5. They're under attack. Jack moved quickly to the station. Put it through. The screen flickered and showed a panicked colonial administrator. Behind him, people were running and smoke filled the air. This is Administrator Benson of Krell 5. We're under attack by unknown vessels. Our defenses are down and our communication systems are failing. Please, anyone who receives this. The transmission cut off abruptly. Jack looked at Mark. How far are we from Krell 5? 20 minutes at maximum speed, Mark replied. We've also received orders from Confederation Command. The communication officer added. We're to return to base immediately. All Confederation vessels are being recalled due to a new threat. Jack frowned. They want us to abandon the colony. The message says the enemy has weapons that disable Confederation technology, the officer explained. They've already lost 5 ships. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Everyone knew what that meant. The Phoenix might be the only ship in range that could help, but they were being ordered to retreat. Mark sat up straighter in his captain's chair. How many people live on Krell 5? About 4,000 colonists, Jack answered. Mark's jaw tightened. Set course for Krell 5, maximum speed. Captain, the communications officer said carefully. That contradicts direct orders. I'm aware, Mark replied. But we're not going to abandon 4,000 people. Send a message to command explaining our decision. Jack couldn't help but smile. It was exactly the choice he would have made. All stations, prepare for possible combat, he ordered. This is what the Phoenix was built for. The Phoenix dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Krull 5. The scene that greeted them was grim. 3 alien vessels, sleek and predatory in design, orbited the mining colony. Several buildings on the surface were already burning. Enemy ships detected, reported the tactical officer. Configuration unknown. Not in Confederation records. They're scanning us, added the sensor officer. They've noticed our arrival. One of the alien ships broke orbit and moved toward them. Its design was angular and threatening, with weapons boards visible along its hull. They're charging weapons, the tactical officer warned. Shields up, Mark ordered. Prepare for evasive action. The alien ship fired, a strange, pulsing beam of energy that struck the Phoenix directly. The ship shuddered, and several alarms sounded. Quantum systems failing, reported engineering. Main computer offline. Sensor grid destabilizing. On a normal Confederation ship, this would have been the end. Without the quantum lattice to coordinate systems, the ship would be helpless. But the Phoenix wasn't a normal ship. Switching to manual controls, Mark said calmly. His neural interface flickered but remained active through the backup systems. Activating secondary power grid. Around the bridge, screens went dark for a moment, then lit up again as the backup systems engaged. The officers switched to manual stations, using the physical controls the humans had installed. Weapons operational through backup systems, reported the tactical officer. Manual targeting online. The alien ship hesitated, seemingly confused that its weapon hadn't disabled the Phoenix completely. They're not expecting us to still be functioning, Jack observed. Let's use that surprise. Target their weapons systems and fire when ready. The Phoenix fired its main cannons. The shots were less precise than they would have been with the main computer, but they still struck the alien vessel. The enemy ship reeled, then quickly moved to re-engage. They're adapting, Mark warned, preparing to fire again. The next minutes were intense as the Phoenix engaged in combat, despite its damaged systems. What should have been a quick victory for the aliens turned into a real fight. The human modifications, those primitive backups and manual controls, were keeping the ship in the fight when Confederation technology would have failed. The alien vessel fired again, this time striking the Phoenix's engines. The ship lurched violently. Main propulsion damage, reported engineering. Switching to emergency thrusters, Mark's face showed strain as he maintained the neural connection through the chaos. We need to end this quickly, he said. Anna, do you have that special package ready? Anna, who now served as the ship's science officer, nodded. Ready, Captain. It's untested, but it should work. Do it, Mark ordered. Anna activated a specially designed probe, one that combined Confederation technology with human ingenuity. It launched from the Phoenix and sped toward the alien vessel. The probe is transmitting a feedback pulse into their scanning systems, Anna explained. It should overload their sensors. The effect was immediate. The alien ship's weapons went silent, and it began to drift. It worked, Anna exclaimed. Their systems are in reset mode. They can't attack while their sensors are rebooting. Target their engines and weapons, Mark ordered. Fire everything we've got. The Phoenix unleashed its full arsenal. Without their defensive systems, the alien ship took severe damage. After a brief but intense barrage, the vessel went dark. We've disabled them, reported the tactical officer. The other 2 ships are breaking orbit. They're retreating. A cheer went up on the bridge. The Phoenix had not only survived an attack that had disabled 5 Confederation ships, but it had also driven off the attackers. 2 weeks later, Captain Orax stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, which was docked at Confederation headquarters. The ship had returned with a disabled alien vessel in tow, providing the Confederation with invaluable intelligence about the new threat. "You disobeyed direct orders," Orax said to Mark and Jack. "But in doing so, you saved a colony and captured an enemy ship. The Council is conflicted about how to respond." Jack smiled. "What's the verdict?" "You're both being commended for exceptional service," Orax replied. "And the Phoenix is being designated as the prototype for a new class of vessels, hybrid ships that combine Confederation technology with human adaptability." He looked around the bridge, at the mix of elegant alien technology and primitive human controls. "I gave you a broken ship because I thought it was worthless," Orax admitted. "You showed us that nothing is beyond repair, and that sometimes imperfection is strength." As Orax left, Mark turned to Jack with a smile. "Not bad for a ship that was considered junk." Jack nodded, looking around at the bridge crew, humans and aliens working side by side, learning from each other. The ship wasn't weak, Jack told them. It just needed the right kind of strength. And as the Phoenix prepared for its next mission, it carried with it a powerful message. Sometimes the greatest innovations come not from perfection, but from learning how to adapt when things go wrong. The ship that was once too broken to fix had become the model for the future, a future where humans and aliens built something stronger together than either could create alone. The end.